And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Welcome in RBLR Sports with the RBLR Buccaneers squad. You are tuned into the hottest Buccaneers Infused podcast. We're going to call this one tonight the Off-Season Odyssey. You feel me? Maybe this is your first time listening to us, or maybe you've been with us since the beginning. Regardless, we got some good news for you. First of all, you've been fighting a good fight, and we are a week closer to the start of the season. Nice to know. But the big thing is, congrats, ladies and gents, because I guess this is like the next big thing that us fans wait for during the offseason, which is the schedule. And that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. And when I say we, I mean the crew. I mean the classy collaborators is what I call them. To my right, he bleeds that pewter and red. Although I'm not beside him, I can feel that fiery energy. We got Zone Zach Blaine in the house. What's going on, Zach?
I think that might be my favorite one you've ever done, brother.
Oh, really? Happy to hear that.
No, not much is going on, brother. Just been working. I just got off a 12-hour shift, and we had baseball last 2 days. We got a championship game tomorrow, so it's been fun, man.
Oh, man. Busy week for you. And also, guys, I just want to give a shout out to y'all for holding down the fort. It's real good to be back for sure. But yeah, big thank you. And the final puzzle piece of this trio, he's got that Buccaneer pride flowing in his veins. Like my boy Zach, it's captivating commentary and that razor sharp analysis. He is Corner Blitz Carter Brantley. My man, the spotlight is yours.
I appreciate it, my friend. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad to be talking some football with y'all. Last night I was at the Bad Bunny concert in Tampa, so my voice might be a little weaker than usual. But yeah, like Musab mentioned, we got the schedule to talk about as promised from last week. It should be a fun episode. But before we go any further, please hit that like and subscribe button if you like what you hear. We'll be delivering some Bucs content for the whole off season. Then, of course, once the preseason and the regular season starts, then it's easy. Then it's cake from there. But yeah, definitely stay tuned. We've got some great stuff coming up for you. But some other news around the NFL, some optional OTAs started this week. Not really much to report there. A lot of Bucs veterans a lot of veterans in general don't show up to those kind of things, but nice to see some football people showing up and doing their thing. So that was kind of just something I wanted to touch on a little bit. But obviously the schedule released last week, and it's exciting. There was some fun stuff. The Chargers had their usual fun little Sims themes this year. Last year I think it was an anime theme. Last year it was that was Tennessee. But yeah, anyways, the Chargers released a Sims themed one where they had some little inside jokes, making fun of some people. And that was a lot of fun. But for the Bucs, they do take on the Chargers, and Baker Mayfield got off pretty easy on the Chargers. He was just, baking. Then I think he burnt something, which compared to the rest of the NFL was relatively tame. So I thought that was nice. But we'll get into it. Obviously, if you're a Bucs fan, you've seen the schedule, so I'm not going to go through the hemmer and haw of reading it out for everyone. So we'll just get right to it. We'll start with the easiest wins, because that's what we love to talk about. Those are the games that we love to watch, because they should be blowouts or, just nice and easy games. Obviously, no game is a given, but what are the easiest wins for y'all when you were looking at this schedule? Mr. Tariq, I'll start with you, my man. What are some easy wins for the Bucs on the schedule?
Ooh, I'll tell you, for me, it's going to be probably say my top three are going to be Carolina, Denver Broncos, and the New York Giants. Just because of, first of all, I don't think anything special is going to happen out of the Broncos. I think that the Panthers are going to continue to rebuild, if that's what you want to call it. And same thing about the Giants. I mean, I got a Giants buddy. He is very pessimistic. And I think that the rather brutal kind of back-to-back kind of games we have with the Chiefs, Niners, and then fortunately we do have that bye week. I think that kind of really gets our head right. And I think we come out steaming, and I think we run over the Giants.
Yeah, that's a solid top three. There are quite a few of these easy wins, so we'll get to all of them. And you mentioned three of the easier ones for sure. Mr. Blaine, how about you though? Do you have any different teams in your list, or are you kind of the same as Musab?
I only have two on my list.
Oh,
okay. Carolina and Denver. I guess
I'll
that's
go
technically 3 wins. But I think Carolina and Denver. I think Denver is just they're kind of in like a black hole right now. Like we don't know anything about them. They don't really have anything that scares me. Carolina, they've got weapons, but I think the only thing that they have going for them is that Dave Canales knows our offense, and it's essentially the same offense under Liam Cohen. So that's the only thing that worries me a little bit. But I think talent-wise, we are far superior than them. So I think that those are easy wins for us.
Yeah, I'm definitely not disagreeing on any of those. I think the Giants is probably the easiest game on this schedule, if we're being completely honest. A couple
I
of
didn't
teams,
think about them, but yeah.
yeah, but there are a lot of bad teams that the Bucs are playing this year. So my inclusions are the Commanders, the first game of the year. I think they're going to be. It's tough, they were one of the worst teams in football last year, and they spent their first round pick on a quarterback. Not disagreeing with the decision at all. I thought it was a great pick, but unfortunately, he doesn't have a lot to work with. They've got a lot of holes on that team still. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been one of the worst teams in football last year. And then the Raiders, they got. I don't know that they got that much better in the offseason. In fact, I think they probably got worse. There's just not a lot going on in Las Vegas. So yeah, any one of those teams, any one of those games that we just mentioned could certainly be quantified as an easy win, so to speak, for the Bucs. At least hopefully, theoretically.
The only reason I didn't pick the Commanders is look at our. Haven't looked at it, but I'd imagine our record against quarterbacks making their first start or against rookie quarterbacks is not very good. Like we saw it a lot last year. Not a lot last year, but we saw it a couple of times last year where quarterbacks making their first start look just great against us. I mean, CJ Stroud as a rookie, granted he was really, really good like all year, put up massive numbers on us. That's the only reason I didn't put Washington up there is because they do have a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, those are always weird for sure. But Bryce Young was a rookie quarterback last year, and he got shut out at the end of the year. But then again, the year before that, when they played San Francisco, Brock Purdy tore him up. There are certainly examples on both sides of the aisle. But fortunately, Brock Purdy was working with a pretty darn good squad in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And the Texans are not a bad team either. So I think fortunately the Bucs will have a lack of supporting squad on their side when it comes to Jaden Daniels. But obviously on the other side of the ledger, there are the hard wins, the ones that probably going to, I don't want to say they're probably going to be losses, but they're certainly not. They're not games where I'd say, "Oh yeah, definitely take the Bucs." It's an easy prediction. So these are the toughest wins. Zach, we'll start with you, man. What are the toughest games for the Bucs?
I got 4 of them. I got the Ravens,
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City, San Francisco, and Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. There's not really anything to debate about here. San Francisco, obviously the defending NFC champs, Kansas City, the defending AFC champs. I'd be interested to know how many teams have had a schedule where they had to play the 2 teams that played in the Super Bowl back to back. I think that's something interesting that we could look at. That I'm sure if we tweeted at a friend of the show, Greg Allman, I'm sure he might be able to research that a little bit more in depth. But yeah, that's a tough 1-2 punch right there for sure. Weeks 9 and 10, and a couple weeks before that is the Baltimore game. So that's a really tough stretch. Mr. Treek, how about you, man? What are the toughest games on this Bucs schedule?
I'll tell you this. Yeah, from week 7 to week 10, I think it's going to be depressing for us fans. Hopefully not, but I just think so because we have Commanders, Lions, Broncos, and listen, I think the Eagles will be a challenge, but then I think that first time we get the Falcons, I think it's going to be a lot more of a dogfight, and I just think the second time we get the Falcons, I think it's going to be a little bit different, and then in between that, we have Ravens before, and then Chiefs, Niners, and also we got Ravens on Monday night, and then also the Chiefs on Monday night. So kind of mixed feelings about that as well. But yeah,
Yeah, no, those are some tough games for sure. I'll probably stick with the Eagles, and obviously KC and San Francisco are definitely up there. But the Cowboys and the Lions, two road games against some really, really good opponents. I know the Cowboys are easy to kind of take a dump on because they're the Cowboys, but they're still a good regular season team for sure, and they're always a team to watch. And then the Lions, that was the team they got bounced in the playoffs by. They're going to be really good again this year. So I know they come on the opposite ends of the schedule, but yeah, those are two games to watch for sure. And the Chargers, who knows with them? They're they're coming off of a weird season. They got a new coach. Who knows how that's going to go? But yeah, those are my teams that are going to be some tough wins. But there are certainly some middle ground teams. There's the winners, there's the have-nots, and then there's the middle ground, which you could say that the Bucs are kind of in that situation too. And there are a lot of those teams on the NFL schedule. On any given Sunday, they're going to run into a lot of them. So I'll kick things off with my sort of middle ground team, so to speak. It's really just the two division rivals, the Saints and the Falcons. Those are kind of teams that are kind of in the middle that I'm not really sure about. Yeah, you could kind of point to the Chargers as kind of a middle ground team. I'd argue with Justin Herbert that probably pushes them more towards the winners. But yeah, definitely the four division games against the Falcons and the Saints. That's going to be kind of a coin flip, honestly. I'm not really sure what to make of those games. But how about you, Musab? What are your middle ground games for the Bucs on this schedule?
To be honest, other than those, division rivals, I think there will be a couple middle ground games. I just don't know which ones, honestly. I mean, you mentioned already the Chargers. I could even see that Cowboys game being kind of a middle ground, even with the Raiders. If we have a kind of up and down season and then we face the Raiders, I wouldn't be surprised if that's also kind of a middle game. But unfortunately, just knowing our Buccaneers, I do have to say one thing I am pessimistically confident about, if that's even a phrase. I feel like we always toss up a loss to the Saints no matter what, and
sure.
I just think it's going to happen again. So I don't know when, I don't know which game, but the Falcons kind of battle should be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I mean the division rivals are always tough. Even really amazing teams lose to their division rivals every year. It just happens. Superior teams lose to inferior teams all the time, but especially when they come within their division. So yeah, definitely some kind of weird coin flip games there. Mr. Blaine, how about yourself, man? What are some kind of 50-50 games, so to speak, for the Bucs?
You guys took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, the only ones that I wrote down in our document was Atlanta and New Orleans. I think we're getting much better quarterback play than we had last year out of Atlanta. And I believe both the Atlanta games were somewhat close. Like, I don't think either one of them was really a blowout, if I'm not mistaken. So better quarterback play makes that a little bit scarier on our end. And then the Saints, like Musab touched on, it feels like every year we split the series with them. And when we don't split the series with them, we end up playing them in the playoffs and beating them. So it's one of those things where it's like, I just am coming into this season expecting to split with the Saints and potentially splitting with the Falcons this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you split those two series, I think that you can chalk that up as a win. I feel like as long as you don't go over against either one of them, you'll probably take care of business against the Panthers. And then, going math is not my strong suit. 4-2, sorry, going 4-2 in the division, that's a really successful season because there are a lot of winnable games for the rest of the schedule to kind of fill out the rest of that record. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. But another thing I'm really excited about is the location of the bye week. I think fantastic. Week 11, you're sandwiched right in between the 49ers and Kansas City. Obviously, two tough games, and then you get out of the bye week, and then you get to coast to Giants, Panthers, Raiders. I mean, that's really nice because the tough stretches, the tough punches are going to come, and having that bye week right there is just a really, really nice little landing spot. But maybe y'all disagree, Musab. How do you feel about the landing spot for this bye week?
I think it's really nice. I mean, it's big bummer. Obviously, we got to face KC and the Niners, but the good thing is we get a bye week, and after that, it should be a nice coast. And I feel like honestly, most teams would want that, regardless of how the first kind of half of your season went. If you are one of those teams, like were we where the Buccaneers stand. You know, you want to have a nice finish to your season. So if you do make it to the playoffs, you're already kind of fired up and everything like that. You've already had a really good streak going on already.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the structure of this schedule. I really think it plays into their second half kind of resurgence, so to speak, because you kind of want to get the tough ones out of the way. And I feel like they do with this schedule. You get because they're a first place division team, so they're playing other first place division teams, and they kind of get them out of the way early. Obviously, Dallas at the end of the schedule is a bit annoying, but the first half of the schedule gets a lot of the really, really good teams off the schedule. So I'm pretty stoked about this bye week. Mr. Blaine, how about you, man? Do you disagree? You're always the pessimist among.
No, I'm not. I love the bye week. I think it's the perfect spot, like you had mentioned. We get the bye week at week 11, and then we have a stretch of. I personally believe every single one of those games that we have after the bye week is winnable.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say we win every one of them, but I do think that every one of them is a winnable game. There's not a game after the bye week where I go, "Oh, we're going to lose that one for sure." So it's nice to know that realistically, weeks 7 through 10, this is, I think, going to be an ongoing topic of this episode is week 7 through 10. But week 7 through 10, realistically, I could see us going 1-3 there. So to go into the bye week on a losing streak and come out of it and not have to face teams that I'm scared of, I think it couldn't have come at a better time and at a better spot in the schedule.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm right there with you. It seems like we're at a consensus there. And another thing we're at a consensus about is the RBLR store having some absolute fire. Definitely check that place out, shop.rblrsports.com. Definitely check it out. Give you a promo code too, since we're in the Odyssey, the off-season Odyssey, as Musab put it. We'll give you a promo code. That's Cannon, CANNONS. Type it in for 10% off your entire order. But another thing about this schedule is that, Zach, you just mentioned the week 7 through 10. And is that, you think, the toughest stretch of games for the Bucs? I mean, it seems like kind of an obvious answer, but hey, you never know. Maybe you think it's the Commanders, Lions, and Broncos for whatever reason. I don't know. Do you think that's the toughest stretch of games?
Yeah, I mean, 7 through 10, I think, is the toughest stretch, like in a short term, but really you've got 3 division games between weeks 5 and 7, or 5 and 8, sorry. So really it could be weeks 5 through 10, but then you got Philly before you play Atlanta at week 4, so it could be 4 through 10. It all depends on how you look at it, because I don't think a division game is easy, but if I'm just going based off opponent and like how they did last year or how I think they're going to do this year, then I would say 7 through 10 is our hardest bunch of games right there.
Gotcha. How about you, Musab? Do you kind of in line with Mr. Blaine, and that's kind of the stretch that you're most concerned about?
Yeah, I would say so. 7 through 10.
Yeah, 7 through 10 is a tough one. I mean, if they can get through, and even 5 through 10, or 4 through 10 rather, like Zach was saying, if they can get through that gauntlet, just like limping, then I think it's a success. I mean, you got to be happy with it, because man, it's a brutal stretch of games. That many 3 division games, and you're playing against 3 division winners and one that was really close to being in division. I mean, it's brutal. Yeah, it's a brutal little stretch there. The NFL schedule makers definitely didn't do them any favors in that aspect. But you win some, you lose some. You gotta pick your battles, I suppose. But by what week do you think that you'll be able to make like a solid assessment of this team? Because I know last season the Bucs had that stretch, it was we're not snowballing kind of thing from Todd Bowles. But then they turned things around. So I mean, there's kind of
or something.
What's that?
Wasn't it like a 6-game losing streak or something like that?
Yeah, or 1-5 stretch.
1-5, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was really atrocious. It was really bad. And it was getting ugly. Things were getting real ugly real fast. So is there a week that y'all have in mind? Musab, we'll start with you, man, that you kind of think about, by this time we should know who the Bucs are.
Oof. I'll probably say, at the end of the week 6, just because I feel like that gives a good idea, at least if we're at least mid-tier, because who knows what's going to happen, week 7 through 10. I mean, maybe I want to even sprinkle maybe week 7, but yeah, nothing more than week 7. But I'll probably say, and actually I take that back. I'm going for a 6. Yeah, because
Okay.
the Ravens, it could be kind of hit or miss. Monday Night Football, yeah, I mean, whatever. But after 6, I think after 6 games, especially kind of going against a little bit of everything. You got the Commanders, it could be interesting, and then the Lions should be good fight. Broncos, we should run over them. Eagles, that could be, who knows how that goes. And then Falcons and Saints are just division rivals. So I mean, it matters the most just because I feel like now more than anything, the Falcons and the Saints. I mean, I think this is going to be a bigger battle for sure in the NFC South minus the Panthers. I think they're way behind, but it's like, one of these, it's like 3 dudes, in a puddle of cow dung, and one of them can only make it out. So let's see who it is.
Damn, getting graphic on here. My goodness. No, I'm with you though. I'm with you. It's certainly not going to be a pretty sight. I think week 6 is a good barometer, and I think that might come off as kind of early for a lot of Bucs fans, and they might think, oh man, the Bucs had no idea what the Bucs were going to do by week 6. But I think that if you come out of week 6 and you're at 500, then I think that the Bucs could easily win the division. They're in really good shape. If they come out, you can't win the division necessarily through week 6, but you can certainly lose it by week 6. If they come out 1-5, 2-4, things could be a little bit sketchy. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. Maybe week 10 or 11 is a perfect, like, all right, let's stop. Let's think, week 11 by the bye week, we'll have, we won't have a game to talk about, so we can sit there and talk about our opinions about, how the Bucs are going to win the division, or how they're going to win the Super Bowl, or how they're going to lose it. But regardless, yeah, I actually kind of agree. An earlier check-in for the Bucs overall would be great. Zach, how about you, man? Maybe you're kind of different than me and Musa. Maybe waiting a little bit longer.
So, unfortunately, I wrote down week 6 or 7 in the list. I think that I'm gonna move it a little bit though, because looking at the schedule now, like taking a deeper look at it, week 8 gives us our whole season series with Atlanta.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
Week 8, we will know, or after week 8, we will know how we played against Atlanta, whether we swept them, whether we split it, or whether we got swept. I think week 8 is the perfect time. After the game, week 8 is the perfect time to be like, what is Tampa? Because you play some good teams, some bad teams, and some mid teams in that stretch. Like it's a little bit of everything. After we play Baltimore, we've played 2 pretty good teams in Philly and Baltimore. We've played 3 division games at that point, and then we've played the Broncos. Oh, I forgot about the Lions. I don't know that I put the Lions in really good yet. They had a really good season last year. I need to see it again to say that they're an elite team. I think they're very, very good. They're at the top of the mid teams to me right now. And that's not taking anything away from them. They've only had 1 good season. So that's kind of where I'm like, I need to see it more. But I just think we play a little bit of everything as far as skill level or talent level goes in that 8-week stretch. And I think that's the perfect time. Plus, I mean, you got to go into the last few weeks before the bye week knowing that the odds of us winning those are slim. So if we steal one, that's awesome. If we don't, you can't judge this team based off playing the Niners and the Chiefs. Like, it's just that wouldn't be fair to Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it wouldn't be fair to really any team other than the Niners or Kansas City.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think if week 8, that's a really nice counterpoint. That'd be a solid week to come in at. I think honestly, if they can manage to beat Washington, Denver, Atlanta once, and New Orleans once in those first 8 weeks and go 4-4, you can fly into the bye week at 4-6 and be super happy. Because then that second half, if the Bucs can't finish off the season strong, then they didn't deserve to be a playoff team to begin with.
Exactly. 100% agree with you there.
Sure. Plain and simple. So speaking of the record predictions, we're kind of throwing around a lot of numbers. Way too early. A lot of stuff going on. Injuries could happen. The world could end. Who knows? So what's a way too early record prediction, Mr. Tariq? We'll start with you, man. What's your record prediction for this season based off the schedule?
Yeah, looking at the schedule, I think the Bucs should go 10-7, but I mean, who knows what happens and all that. So But I'm confident about the 8-11 range, but I'm going to say they should go 10-7. But hey, I'll tell you this: every single year, teams should win games, and then they should lose games, and they end up winning it. So that's football, baby.
Hey, any given Sunday, all those stupid cliches that everyone says just to explain the unexplainable. Yeah, I'll go with 10-7 as well. I think that there's
Wow.
10 wins here. I think that the Bucs are going to improve on last year. I think that they were really good last year. They were scrappy, they were tough, but this year, they're a little more settled in. Baker's going to be a little bit more confident. He's still playing with a chip on his shoulder though, because I mean, my goodness, he's earned a payday, but he still hasn't really gotten a big contract. I mean, he's not considered an elite quarterback or a really good quarterback in the NFL just yet. So I think he's still got a lot to prove. He always plays aggressive and with a chip on his shoulder. And I don't think that's going to change this year. And I think that, the offense is going to get a lot better. The defense, I think it'll do enough. I think it'll do enough to keep them in games just because of the opponents that they're playing, the quality of the offenses they're facing, other than Kansas City, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Baltimore, maybe Detroit as well. They're just not going to be facing like some elite high-flying offenses, just to be quite honest. So 10-7, that's my solid record prediction. Zach, how about you, man? What's yours?
I was optimistically saying 9-8, and that was not confident.
Really?
I think our defense took a massive step back, and I will die on that hill. We lost corners. That's all we did. We didn't sign. I mean, we signed corners, but we signed backup cornerbacks and traded our starting corner and did nothing in the draft to address it.
We got Tyke Smith.
That's right.
Oh,
Tyke
thank
Smith.
God. Thank God. We also signed 3 other slot corners. I'm not sold on this defense this year, barring anything changing. If we go out and sign Stephon Gilmore or something, then maybe I'd be a little more optimistic. But I don't see this defense being good this year. I said it when the schedule first released in our group chat. I'm saying 9-8 or 8-9, but I wouldn't be shocked to see this team finish 7-10. And I wouldn't be shocked to see them finish 10-7. Like if we were to finish 10-7, I would be like, yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it, but I'm not shocked. If we finish 7-10, I go, well, I told you this defense was trash. Like it's not something that it's a weird schedule for me this year because I could see it being really good for us and I could see it being disappointing for us. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But if I had to put a number on it, I'm gonna stay optimistic. I don't want to be pessimistic, Zach, anymore. Trying something new for this season, and I think that I'm going to go with 9-8.
All right, 9-8. I like it. Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you. There's certainly variance, obviously, in all things, but especially with football. So obviously 7-10. I mean, shoot, 6-11 is within reach.
Yeah,
there's a world where that happens, So you got to prepare for everything. But I think 10-7, and I get what you're saying about the defense for sure. The defense, certainly on paper at least, has certainly taken a step back, especially in the secondary. But I'd argue that, if they're Super Bowl contenders, yes, the defense is a huge concern. Like they need to be, addressing it right now, immediately. They need to address it yesterday. But they're not, they're just trying to win this division, a very winnable division. I think that they focused on improving the offense quite a bit, and I think they did that pretty well. So I think that the defense is going to be just below average enough to get them through a lot of these games because, I mean, my goodness, the Giants, Panthers, Raiders, even the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert's great, but good Lord, Quentin Johnson or whatever the heck his name is.
Yeah, but when you have no corners to play on, no wide receivers, like it's a mute point. You know what I mean? It's these teams, the teams that play us, their offenses are going to look a lot better than they really are.
I don't know. I don't see that from these teams. Like I don't see Daniel Jones carving up the Bucs secondary.
I didn't say all of them.
Okay, for sure. But like
let me rephrase that. The Giants are the Giants. They suck. Daniel Jones is garbage.
For sure. But like Aiden O'Connell.
I bet you his numbers against us are better than what they are league like against everyone else.
Sure, but the Giants defensively are also pretty mid.
And that's where we can make our money. I think our offense, and it's weird to say in a Todd Bowles-led team, I think our offense has the ability to carry us this year. I don't think that they did that much to improve it. As far as we didn't really address the running back position, which I thought we needed to. We didn't really address the wide receiver position outside of our why am I tripping? I'm blanking on names now.
McMillan, yeah, out of Washington.
Who plays a very similar role to Chris Godwin, which is another thing that worries me. But I just, Mike Evans is always going to be Mike Evans. I think a whole nother year of Baker Mayfield is only going to make them better. And I think a competent play calling offensive coordinator is going to make us better. So I think that this is the first year where I can go, our offense is going to carry us more than our defense.
Yeah. I think the offense is a better group than the defense, and that's all there really is.
If I may just chime in. I just got to say that if our team, if the Buccaneers are bad, it's because of not just our cornerback situation. And the way I kind of see it is, and the way I kind of see it is, yes, believe me, Zach, I think there could be a plethora of times that, our cornerbacks get cooked. But the way I also see it is kind of like, you think about the worst college basketball team or NBA team, and there's still dudes on that team who still have to score. There's someone's got to get the double-double for that team, So, I mean, I think more than anything,
you're spot on.
I think more than anything, I think Zion McCullough, maybe this is going to be his kind of wake-up call this year. This is like, hey, sure, do we love you 100%? No, but listen, buddy, it's now or never. Like, you have to step up. Like, we're counting on you now. You're our starter guy. You're going to be starting out there with Jamel Dean, and then, I mean, people like Josh Hayes, barely heard his name, but now, especially with our whole cornerback situation, always dealing with injuries, I feel like that's kind of going to have to wake up someone like him too. But I mean, will these guys do good because of that? I don't know, but I feel like there's definitely going to be some improvement throughout the season if these are the guys we stick with, especially that kind of nice little stretch after bye week.
So your point on like basketball, right? You have some of these really bad teams that get a win, but you also have, if there's games they could have won, but someone's bad on defense and another person scores 40 points. And it's hard to come back from. I'm not saying it's going to be just on our corners, but if there's the ability, because you got to remember, when's the last time Jamel Dean had a fully healthy season?
I don't remember.
I'm not expecting to have Jamel Dean all 17 games. I'm expecting him to have maybe 10 games. So there's 7 games there where we're without Jamel Dean. And then we have Zion McCollum and Bryce Hall.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough proposition
behind him.
Like, it seems like our safeties got better, our corners got worse, our D line stayed the same. It's just kind of how I look at it, and it feels like we couldn't really rush the quarterback last year. Do I think Broswell might be able to help with that? Yes. Do I think he's going to make an immediate impact? I don't know. So I think there's a lot that hinges on it, but I think if our corners are giving up a great QB passer rating this year, all year, I don't see how we can win too many games if we have to score 40 points every game to win.
No, I know what you're saying.
For sure. And I think that I think Musab brought up a great point in that the cornerback room is certainly a huge problem. I think it's no one's going to sit here and say it's a strength of the team. I think you'd be lying to yourself a whole lot if you said that. But I do think that there's a shared responsibility for the defense. You mentioned the pass rush group, Zach. I think for me personally, the pass rush group is more of a concern in my mind than the cornerback room, just because I mean, at least the Bucs have Jamel Dean out there at the cornerback position. They don't even really have a starter on the edge rush group. I think if you're relying on Randy Gregory to be a starting edge rusher, I think you're going to run into a lot of problems. So I'm with you. The cornerback room is not a strength. It's not good. I'm concerned, but I think my levels of concern vary on the defense, and I think the edge rush room slightly. Oh my goodness! No pun intended, but it edges it.
If you're playing lockdown coverage, it's going to take the quarterback longer to throw the ball. That's all I'm saying, which leads to more pressure. If you're wide open, you're not going to get pressure anyway because he's throwing the ball quick.
For sure.
Yeah, but who needs a quarterback throwing the ball if you got people like Yaya Diaby sacking you every single play?
Oh man, I love Yaya, and he had a great rookie year. But my goodness, he is not.
I don't think that's realistically what we're going to see next year. Like,
for sure. I think
I hope
last
it is.
season.
I hope he comes out and is a stud again this year. But
It's gonna be like that one. It's gonna be like that time where you play like like Madden with your cousin or something, and then you just keep on just using like the punt block, even if they're going like whether they're running the ball, throwing the ball, you just keep on going punt block.
Oh man, ouch! Yeah, the pump block defense can be OP as hell in Madden sometimes. You know how that be. But to round out the episode, we're coming towards the end. Just who do y'all think wins the division? Do you think that the Bucs win it? Do you think Saints, Falcons, Panthers, maybe? Who comes out? Yeah, who comes out on top in the NFC South? We'll start with you, man.
I think there's a good chance the Buccaneers can make it close. Maybe they scrape it, or maybe the Falcons do. But that's it. I don't think the Saints. I just think it's just going to be a battle between the Falcons and the Buccaneers, and then Panthers definitely not.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I was trying to include the Panthers just to be fair, but yeah, they don't look too good so far. But Zach, how about you, man? You got the Bucs or maybe the Saints?
I wrote down who the hell knows.
It is
I know that it won't be the Panthers, but
sure.
that's all that I know. I think last year you saw it. I mean, we were all within one game of each other at the top 3 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess I'm not quite sure why you're so low on the Saints, Musab. I hate them. I want to be low on them, but we're getting a whole year of Derek Carr now, a whole nother year. I think he's going to play slightly better. I'm not saying he's going to be Pro Bowl level quarterback, but I think that Kirk Cousins has shown that he can get to the playoffs pretty regularly. Can't do anything in the playoffs, but he can make it there. He's kind of like Dak Prescott. But it's just one of those things where I think that any of the top 3 teams in this division could win it, and I don't expect it to be a runaway division this year.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't, like you said, who the hell knows, but I'm going to go with the Bucs again. Let's go 4 in a row. Let's go fo. Shout out to Moses Malone.
I'm rooting for the Bucs. Don't get me wrong. I want to
sure.
four straight, but if I had to pick one, I'm gonna pick the Bucs just out of like fandom. But right. I wouldn't be shocked if any of the top 3 get it, and I expect us to all be within 1 or 2 games again.
Yeah, I think the dangerous thing about the Saints that I think maybe Musab, you can speak more to this, but I think what I'm a little lower on the Saints about is their age. They're just a year older, and their roster doesn't exactly have a boatload of young talent on it. And the fact that Chris Olave is your number 1 receiver, great guy, great receiver, great guy to have on the field. But man, it gets real thin after that in regards to who Derek Carr is throwing to.
Yeah, do they still have Traquan Smith? Like that's the only other receiver I can even think of that played for.
I think their number 2 is Rashid. I think.
Oh yeah, Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, Rashid Shaheed. I knew it was like some kind of alliteration type of thing. Or that's not alliteration, that's rhyming.
Close enough though.
Right, for sure.
Race car. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, they're in a rough spot, and that defense. I mean, my goodness, they just don't have much of a pass rush. Marshawn Lattimore's a great corner, but good Lord, after that, I mean, Kool-Aid McKinstry, I have high hopes for him, but who knows? So yeah, I'm a little lower on the Saints than I am on the Bucs and the Falcons, but who knows? The Panthers could end up winning this damn division. I mean,
no. Don't lie to our fans like that.
Crazier things have happened, man. Crazier things have happened.
Man, Panthers are like if TJ Watt's family had an adopted brother. You know what I'm saying?
If the Panthers,
because there's TJ, there's Derek, and then there's JJ, and then there's that one random guy. So no, Panthers are out of it.
It's like the Watt family.
I wish them the best though.
For sure.
Yeah.
The Panthers are not going to win it, and I stand by it. I did a bet for the Rays podcast a while ago. If the Panthers win the division, I will shave my head clean, bald. It's not going to happen.
Heard it here. Zach Blaine's going bald if the Panthers win the division. Now
If the Panthers win the division, I'll shave just the middle of my head. Yeah.
Oh my! Wow, I am not making these bold proclamations. I do not have enough faith in the Bucs, Saints, or Bucs, Saints, or Falcons to be good.
I just have that little faith in the Panthers. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I have higher faith than everyone else. I don't think the Panthers win more than 4 games this year. That's where I'm at with it.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not betting on that, but I'm just betting that they don't win the division.
For sure. Well, hey, if the Panthers win the division, I'm going to hold y'all to this. I'm a man
of my word. This will be gone.
For sure. Well,
unfortunately, anyways, if I have to, yeah, I will.
Yeah, Musab, you're going to get that. I don't even know what type of hairstyle that would be. Yeah, I think that's. What's that movie, Taxi Driver? The weird one where the dude that might be a haircut that the guy has. Anyways, I'm spitballing here. We're reaching the end of our episode. Thank y'all for putting up with our nonsense. We really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're looking for more nonsensical stuff like this, we'll be coming at you throughout the off season, through the regular season, once a week, every week. We'll be having a new episode, so definitely hit that like and subscribe button. You can also give us a follow at RBLR Sports if you're interested in interacting with all of our other content. We've got some great stuff coming across all of the different Rays, Bucs, Lightning, Rowdies. It's all coming at you, and it's all coming at you fast. So with all that being said, we really appreciate y'all, and as always,
the Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.